Hello everyone, it's Miriam from Yarnwork Studio, and today we're going to do something that I have not done in a very long time. So when I first started learning how to spin, I started blending fibers on a blending board and fell in love with it. But I haven't done it in a while, and I thought I'd bring you along because I don't think I've done much blending on my blending board for you. Now this, very excited about it. This is me getting to set up my workstation a little bit better in my unfinished basement. So I've got this pegboard with all my colors that I have. And before people ask, because I know it's going to happen, yeah, this is just basement mess. Don't you worry about this. Yes, I'm watching the Eras tour here. She's in Toronto, which I'm from Ontario, Canada. She's here in my province tonight. It's Toronto night 1. I'm not there. I'm not going at all. But I do love some Taylor Swift energy. So I've got that queued up. Keep me company. But yes, all of this fiber, some of it is Corriedale, some of it's merino, and it's all combed top from Chaotic Fibers. And I'll try to remember to link her. Carrie from Chaotic Fibers is awesome. She's having her 10-year anniversary giveaway on her Instagram right now. So if you want to hop over there, it's a great time. But in general, that's where I get most of my sort of raw blending materials. Then I've got some other braids. These are from Bramble Ridge and Myrtle Yarn and Three Dog Knits. All of this is Canadian, people, and I love that. Love that for me. A little more Bramble Ridge, a little bit of Allaire artifacts, or Melanie Allaire, if you will. And yeah, so what I have put together, and I actually taught myself to spin, forced myself to learn by going on TikTok and actually doing some blends live and letting people pick colors for me, which I may start doing again because I really miss it. I just haven't had a lot of time. So I found this palette on Pinterest that I thought was really interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the wall and I'm going to pick some colors that are similar vibes to this. And I'll probably just do that live. And then we're going to blend up some rolags on my blending board. Okay, so I'm going to try to put it here as a reference. I'm going to take my darkest navy here. This sort of wine color. What do I have for teals? I have a lighter teal. I don't really have a darker teal. I'm going to grab this hunter green in case I want to add a little bit of that to help with the teal. The next one's almost like a caramelly color. I think the soft pink is the closest. And then like my warm brown here. And I would say this pumpkin color. All right, so I will bring these back over. But this wall just makes me happy because it's just like color. So here this is. I'm going to switch angles and we'll get started on the blend. I'm going to let you stare at the colors for a minute while I look through my mixings that I have. So I have a whole bunch of little bits of silk and other sort of fibers that I can blend. Angelina, which is like a sparkly thing. And I just want to pick out a few things in case I want to add them. So I'm going to sort of set them here. This is a merino sort of blend. Things that are in a very similar color story to what we're looking for. That one actually also is. And when I'm picking blends, there's some things that I love to spin and some things that are a lot more experimental. With this blend today, I don't really have any intention of doing anything purposeful or specific, if that makes any sense. I'm more thinking about, here's a tuss of silk in a beautiful orange. I'm more thinking about just like having fun with this. I don't anticipate putting any sparkle in, so I'm gonna sort of leave it at this probably, but sometimes I put in a fun sparkle or some locks or something. But really this is just me having fun and playing today. I do often spin with a purpose or blend with a purpose. And usually I prefer really sort of smooth things rather than high texture. But I got these. This is from Chaotic Fibre, so the same person I got all this from. This is Tessa Silk. Maybe I'll open this up first, which has a really beautiful sheen to it. And I love this sort of shimmery sheen as a little bit of texture, but still staying really smooth. And the rest of these I actually got from the Olive Sparrow, who's at a whole bunch of local craft shows recently. So this is a blend. It says premium fiber mill-ins, merino with minimal mohair and alpaca. So it's kind of a grab bag. This feels a lot more similar to sort of raw wool, like almost wash locks type, rather than this is comb top. It's been highly processed and organized, and that means that all of the fibers are sort of in the same direction. So this one is another blend. Look at those various colors, very jewel toned. This is giving me like peacocky vibes. And I've never blended with this stuff before. It's the first time I've grabbed some of these little bags. I just loved the color, and these bags were $4.25 Canadian plus tax, which is pretty good. So figured why not? This is a beautiful, very similar to this wine color, a little deeper, I would say. All right, so this time we're just going to go over it. We don't have any rhyme or reason or plan, but you will find as I keep making these, hopefully, and also as you, if you ever catch me on a live, or if you go back and watch like my older TikToks, I have a whole playlist of the live yarns that we blended and things. I do have an awful lot of interest in process blending in a way that I can repeat it over and over. I did do a sweater quantity and made a holiday sweater last year. Right around this time I was kind of starting, and I blended it into rolags. I spun it. That one might not have been rolags. That was probably mini bats. But I spun it and knit a sweater in like a month leading up to Christmas, and it was wild because I actually got it finished, and I love it, and it's up on my little mannequin right now. Anyways, this is a very long way of saying I'm going to get started. So I'm just going to go with my gut here. I think I'm going to kind of build from darker to lighter. So I'm going to start off and place a little bit of this. And again, I'm not even weighing anything. I'm not trying to make a recipe. I do love that feeling of pulling this floofed fiber. Maybe I'll leave it back there. But this is my blending board. I made it myself. Let's start blending while I talk. And when I say I made it myself, I mean I told my husband. I asked my husband to make it. So he just made the board base, and I bought this carding cloth from a company called Golden Fleece. Well, here's their logo right here on the back of this. So I bought a little kit that had the carding cloth itself. I think I'm going to have to clamp the board down. I haven't done it in my workstation yet, so I'm just going to add a little clamp here. It'll just take a minute. Perfect. And it came with 2 brushes, the dowels to pull rolags off the board, and the cloth here, which is, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget. I don't even remember the TPI. I think it's a 90, but I'm not sure. Not 100% on that. I might have to clamp the other side too. You can tell I haven't used my board in a long time. This is kind of wild. But what I typically do with my board, let me just clamp the other end down. This is why when you don't do fancy editing, you get what you get. Okay. That should be good. Now it's not moving. Okay. But the purpose of the board is basically to help you blend fibers in different ways and be able to prepare to spin in different ways, or felt. Lots of people will felt with it too. So it's a way to prep fiber. I mainly keep it pretty vertical. Some people will really sort of mix it up. I've tried doing X's along there and things like that. And there's really no right or wrong way. And it's just like anything else, just like carding the fibers on the drum card or anything else. You'll do different things, you'll get different results. And I love it because it was the very first thing basically that I was doing when I started playing with fibers. I got this for Christmas, I want to say 2 years ago. I treated myself and I was down a rabbit hole of obsession, let me tell you. Okay, I'm going to pull in just a little bit of this green. The reason I grabbed the green is because I didn't have a dark teal. I'm kind of looking at this. This is also just the same two colors. So I'm going to do a little bit of this just to add a little bit of darkness. And sometimes like you can use a blending board or a drum carder or hand cards. There's so many ways that you can also just sort of blend to make colors. So I could take a couple different things and put them together to make the color I want. But I'm blending these fibers right on the board. Very jewel tone, that's for sure. You can tell that right now. And I think I'm going to pick a little bit of this out just because I'm really curious to see how it's going to go onto the board. So this looks like it's pretty thin. A little bit packed in here. It might be nice for it to be a little more aired out, but the tines here should kind of help pull it anyways. Popping in some bright colors. I don't think there's really any rhyme or reason to where I'm placing things on the board. Catherine from Craft Me Happy has amazing blog posts and accompanying short videos that are always fascinating to me, where she, blocks off different areas of the blending board, and just like she does so many process-based experiments in such an interesting way. If you haven't checked her out, she's, in my opinion, extremely underrated online. So I just pulled this out just because it was not really blending in. I want my fibers to be nice and kind of loose in there. Then I'm just packing them down to make more room and also to help them sort of blend. Man, it's been a really long time since I've blended colors. I've blended a couple braids, which would be just sort of taking them and rearranging colors on here. But I feel like it's been forever. So this is so much fun. But yeah, I do think I'm going to be picking up maybe my lives on some of the other platforms again that I used to do over the winter, because I don't know about y'all, but I definitely hibernate. Definitely am a hibernator in the winter. Okay, now I'm going to get some of the light color in. I really love this. It's a super soft pink. Kind of matches my skin tone, but it's like a really nice neutral to have. And something that, I just bonked my head on the camera. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, one of the really nice things about making rolags and things, they're so much fun to spin because you get so many different colors kind of coming up and at you. I am going to take some of this really sort of a clump of this neutrally mix, which again is merino with a little bit of alpaca and mohair. So it's a lot more raw feeling than this. It's got more texture, which again, I don't love. Like I can see some sort of really packed in parts. I'm not going to put that in. I don't love texture the way that some people love texture. Some people love, having sari silk and things like that. But I do have a much bigger appreciation at this point because I've done so much sort of raw fiber processing recently. I can tell that this is alpaca. Because I'm starting to finally understand some of the differences between different fibers. But I've done so much sort of raw wool processing and playing around with different locks and fibers. Then when I was first learning, where all I knew was combed top, and I found that anything different was challenging, but now I'm a much more confident spinner and I've branched out. So right now this is gorgeous. This is very much jewel tones and neutrals, but I think when we put a little bit of this brown and pumpkin tones, it's going to be really interesting to see. And some of that silk. So I'm not even close to done yet. This is probably going to end up being a long video just because I have not done this in a while. Usually I would say one board takes me about 10 minutes. It depends on how many colors I'm using and what the materials are and things like that. But on average, I would say 10 minutes. So this one's like a very warm brown. And placement wise, I'm kind of looking at two things. I'm looking at, where on the bottom, oh, you can't see my hand down here. Where on the bottom are there some obvious gaps? And I'm also trying to layer colors in a specific way. Nothing too intentional, but just, I don't want like a whole layer of one color because then it shows up throughout the entire rolag. I'm trying to put like certain colors together. I can't even really explain it because I have really no plan here, but that's part of the joy. Okay, and then some of this pumpkin. I can tell for sure because this is so thick and floofy that this one is merino. A lot of this is Corriedale. Basically, Carrie from Chaotic Fibers stopped carrying the Corriedale, and I loved it. That's what I learned on. So I literally just bought a ton from her while it was on sale, like a ton. Okay, so I'm feeling this. This one's a little more slippery than the Corriedale, so I find it a little more challenging to kind of blend in. But I want this near the greens. There's literally no green. Okay, near the browns for sure, and near the neutrals. But I also feel like a pop of this orangey pumpkin color in and around the teal blue. Like teal blue and this orange pumpkin color are insane together. Okay, and then this one is the, I need to find the end of it. Where's the end? There's the end. This is the tussa silk. So instead of this being wool or alpaca or anything like that, and you can kind of see maybe the difference. This has a little more of a red tone. There's Carrie's company, Chaotic Fibers, based out west BC area. I'm going to pop some of this, but this has, I don't know if it's going to be showing up, such a little shimmery glow. Oh, it's beautiful. And I'm going to put it over sort of the browns and the orange. Too much of it. And so now at this point, we've kind of layered. We forget about the deeper colors that are on here, but I am going to put more of that on. I'm also going to put some of this that I didn't do before, which again was some of these milled ends. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that. And basically painting a canvas of whatever we feel like, whatever we're going with. I do want to leave at least 1-2 little strips that are just nice light neutral. But this is a very sort of variegated rolag instead of some that you make that are just a few colors mixed. There are a lot of colors and tones in this. Okay, I think I want a little bit more of the light stuff here. At this point, I'm kind of just filling in because I feel like I've got a decent amount of fiber. But pulling the rolags off the board is honestly one of the very, very best parts of this process, and always my favorite in videos. I may have to adjust my angle a little bit for it. And then I think I want just a little bit more of this bright teal and probably the dark blue, and I think we'll be good. A little bit more. Okay. Then we'll be getting to an angle that probably won't look as pretty as I want it to. Just because, again, we're in my unfinished basement. A little more of the dark. And I actually do feel like I want a tiny bit more of the dark green. So I'm going to sort of finish off with the dark colors again. And yeah, there's just a big pile of fiber. This is also a great way to use smaller bits of fiber that you might have left from other things. I have just also started weaving. I'm not, don't have any confidence in that skill yet, but I might do some weaving videos as I start to learn. Okay. I feel good about where we're at. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna do this live. I'm adjusting the camera angle. Maybe I'm gonna turn it so it's a little more square, just so we can see, because this is the best part. Now my clamps might get in the way, but what I like to do when I'm pulling off the rolags, so again, rolags are one way to prep to spin. Pull these ends. Look how many colors there are in here. I'm a little bit worried there's too many colors. And then it might turn a little muddy when I spin it. But we shall see about that. This is just an experiment. Usually I put around 25 grams on the board. So I do like to flip it over too. This is like one of my favorite parts, is to see the underside. Look at those beautiful colors. You almost forget what's underneath because you can only see the top layer. But look at that gorgeousness. And now I haven't pulled a rolag in a really long time. Let's see how it goes. So the trick to pulling the rolags is to have all the fiber there. I put my thumbs down. I'm going to pull a little bit up and towards me. And then I'm going to roll. And when I roll, I am not rolling tight. I'm not pulling tight. So now is when I'm pulling tight. And I'm going to pull up and towards me. And then I'm going to roll it up and towards me. And I'm going to pull it off now because I know that that's a good amount for the first rolag. So now I've got all the fiber. And I just I'm patting it down. Just very gently putting my hand around it. Going like that. And then look at this gorgeousness. And then what I do is I pull one of the two dowels out to make it nice and loose, and then I'm just going to slide it off. And this is my rolag. And then, of course, because I'm me, and this is what I love to do, I'm going to roll it up, which you do not have to do in a rolag. I just think it's a beautiful way to showcase the colors. There it is. I feel like it's looking a little bit darker in camera, but at the end maybe I'll move the rest of the stuff out so we can see it on the white background. But this is a rolag, and when you spin it, you pull the fibers off here and you spin. And this is a woolen, this would be a woolen prep. So you can do woolen spinning from it. You can do long draw. It's great for spindle spinning as well, especially supported spindle spinning. But if I'm using combed top, which is what a lot of the fiber was, that's a worsted prep. Combed top's a worsted prep. So this would be maybe like semi-woolen because it's a woolen fiber prep using combed top, which is a worsted prep. For people who understand or care about that. Where should I put it? I'll put it right here for now. And then what we do is we just keep doing that until we've got all the fiber up and off the board. So I just lift it all so I can get underneath it like that. And honestly, this is such a fun part of it, is the actual act of starting to roll it. And then again, I'm going to use my thumbs just to give a little grip to pull and stretch it out. It's really drafting it. And then I'm gently turning. So again, I'm not pulling tight as I roll it. I'm pulling tight before that. And then I do that until I feel like it's kind of consistently full. Every roll leg it's good to kind of have them be the same fullness as each other, because then if you wanted to do color repeats, you could start from the same end each time, like start from this light one and go to there, then start from this light one and go through the colors. And that's how you can get almost a good attempt at the same order of stripes, if that's important to you. But it's not great if you have completely different amounts of fiber on each one. So here's our second roll leg, which again, we could just leave like that, but I'm going to roll it up. Usually at the end, I'll weigh them and see how much I've got. Here's our second one. It's a little more disorganized than the first one, but still beautiful. And I think part of that is from the different fibers that we have. All right, so now I'm getting a little bit out of frame. So now I'm going to go back up like this. Here we go. I'm just kind of clearing the way as I go too. So again, one underneath, one above. Gonna pull a little bit. So drafting up. I can definitely tell some of these fibers aren't from comb top, so they give it a little more texture. This is, at this point, I would say, looking very, the word I usually use to describe it is pencil casey, which just means that there's just a ton of colors all together, which makes me a little nervous about spinning it into mud, right? Because what that means is if you have too many colors that are kind of on opposite colors or opposite ends of the color wheel, and you spin them together and ply them together, they might get lost in each other and just turn brown. However, there's lots of different things you can do to avoid that. So as I'm spinning, if I think that's an issue, I have a plan. And because I know you'll probably want to know the plan for that would be to do something like chain plying, which helps keep the colors more uniform. And there's a third one. And now usually my end one looks a little bit less fluffy and full. This probably has less fiber on it overall, but I obviously ran out of fiber. So there's that end one. So we can see the three. They're all beautiful. Let me just clear this out for a second. So I'm going to pause it and then we'll just take a look at them on their own. Okay, so here we are with our roll legs. I'm just going to show the inspiration color palette here from my Pinterest. Ooh, that's on a good angle. Try something like that. And then the actual roll legs up close. So we can see, hopefully, those beautiful colors, not in any specific order. And the second one, and the third one. There we go. I am going to grab my scale. We may as well weigh them. I mean, people who are very pro at this would end up with a whole bunch of roll legs the exact same weight. 7.89, 9.15, so more in the second one than the first, and 7.46. Oh, interesting. I wouldn't have thought that this was the biggest one, but that it must just be denser. And that means that altogether we have 24.47. So 24 and a half. So almost an ounce, just under an ounce of beautiful rolags. And just for the aesthetics, because it's so much fun, I'm going to kind of pull in the bits of the colors used so we can see it. Maybe all together. I need to get that orange in here. What a fun project. So I will spin this at some point. Hopefully I'll do a this to that to go from the rolags into the finished yarn. But yeah, this is such a fun little creative outlet for me, especially if I see a color combo and I'm like, ooh, I need to try that. So thanks for watching. If you are following along in my fleece to sweater series where I've created a custom blend on my drum carder and I'm turning that into a custom cardigan I designed, I am in the middle of knitting the top of it. So once I get a little more body, I'll be doing an update on that one. But as always, you can follow me on Instagram, and that's where you'll probably see a lot more stuff because I post a lot in my stories and have a highlight for stuff like that. But this one, I will try to make sure I do a this to that series entry after I spin up this blend. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you're having a great day. Bye.